hope you're well. I hope you're enjoying the Main Road Memories vlogs that I've been doing here on Forever Blue. But for today, we're going to look back at the career of David Silva, because on May the 17th, 2020, it could have been his last appearance at the Etihad Stadium in a sky blue shirt in front of the City fans. Things could change between the time I'm recording this and when you watch it. And maybe he has played again. Maybe his contract has been extended. Maybe he didn't play behind closed doors. We'll see. But for now, we've got to assume that David Silva has played his last game in front of the City fans. So with that in mind, I collected together some of the Forever Blue podcast crew to get the memories and views of David Silva, the great David Silva. And I'm sure he'd agree that it's great to be a Blue, isn't it?
I'm only 21, so I've sort of grown up watching David Silva. When we signed him, was it 2010-ish? That's when I can really remember in detail seasons. That was probably one of the first seasons I can really remember. So I've sort of known David Silva's always sort of being there with these seasons that I've known in detail. And we just know how important he is. When he arrived in that summer, him and Yaya, they really kick-started things. I feel like they were the catalyst for, I think, the success that came later on. So I think it's important that we mention David, certainly in the same vein as Yaya and Vincent Kompany, those sort of that trio, if you like. And you talk about
not Sergio. You're not mentioning Sergio in there.
Oh, maybe make it a quartet then. Is that right? A quartet? But yeah, perhaps so.
The Beatles, the new Beatles.
Yeah, exactly. So we've got we've got Lee Bell and some of the past, and we get told about how great they were back in the day. And I can just imagine that in 50, 60 years, if I make it out of this lockdown, then I'm going to be telling hopefully my grandkids about how good David Silva was, and he will be one of those players, probably the first player that I mention alongside David Silva, Vincent Kompany, and Yaya Toure. So yeah, he's certainly up there. He's an absolute joy to watch, and just seeing him, the passes that sometimes that he makes are just unbelievable, and like Kevin De Bruyne makes those now, and he's mesmerising at times. Yeah, brilliant.
Let me ask you all then, just to wrap up the David Silva chat, about your favourite memory. And I'm probably going to steal many of your favourite memory by saying that I was commentating at Old Trafford when we won 6-1 against United, and David Silva put that pass through. And I know he's done some genius things consistently, match after match after match. He really is an absolute magician with the football, and so it's difficult to pick one out. But that pass in that situation, at that venue, at that moment in that game, will live with me forever. And because I was commentating, so I was full of emotion, and I was into full passion, City are battering United here at Old Trafford mode, then that is the moment that will stand out for me. What's your outstanding memory of David Silva?
Well, you were right in saying that you're going to steal everyone's, because obviously that assist was possibly the world's greatest assist. The main memory that sticks out for me, I would suppose, apart from that, is his first goal, Blackpool away. I remember he'd been at City for a couple of months. He'd been quite quiet, not as strong, He hadn't excelled in the first couple of months. Anyway, he scored the goal at Blackpool, where he's just jinked around 3 or 4 players, plumped it into the corner, and you thought, yeah, that's the Silva that we've signed. So, funnily enough, I think his first goal is actually one of his best goals that he scored for us.
Oh?
I think it's the image of him in his underpants in the changing room.
Trust you to bring the tone down.
No.
Oh, can you send me that? Thanks.
He's got it up in the office, Paul, at Prestige.
I've not got a big enough wall.
Come on, you must have a goal or a memory or a situation.
The situation I loved was when he brought Matteo onto the pitch, to be honest, when just after he'd got back. He just brought him on the pitch, and he was carrying him in his arms, and it was an absolute beautiful moment. There's too many to mention. There's no, apart from that one you've mentioned, obviously, the rest of him are just the typical David Silva stuff, and that's the only other one that really stands in my mind. And I was stood on terraces with a little tear in my eye, thinking, what? I looked around everybody else around me, we're in the hard and singing section here, and it was every single one of us was clapping with tears in our eyes. It was an amazing moment for me.
Says our former rugby contributor who's supposed to be a tough guy. Right, that's honest. Louisa, go on.
Right, okay, so yeah, totally agree with the Old Trafford match in 11. And not only because of the goal, but I mean, he created Balotelli's, it created that first goal, then obviously scored goal number 5, and then set up with the assist on Dzeko's 6, which the both of them were in after the 90th minute, which were just incredible. And what an incredible feeling after decades of not getting anywhere near that kind of a score. So yeah, that is definitely in my mind, because that was our season anyway. That was the 11-12 season that led to us winning the Premier League. So that all contributes to all those points and goal differences, contributed to everything that followed. And then the Blackpool, for sure, 100%, the free kick, passed it to Silva from like the corner, and it was almost like he had nowhere to go with it. There was like no player available, so he just bodged through a few players and scored himself. And what an amazing memory. And absolutely, what anyone sits at home thinking, oh well, Blackpool, no, we won't have anything said about any team, no matter what division they're in. Any football team that's in a league is worthy of being there, and they were a very good, strong, defended, old-fashioned English team. So he did incredible. But anyway, that's not my memory now. I think I'm going to steal somebody's. The corner assist to Dzeko on the 13th of May 2012, because that goal in the 92nd minute was the hope, was everything. That's what led to Aguero. It really is, in my view. We were 2-1 down, and that was everything. And he didn't score it himself, but the assist was there. And it's straight to the man, which is exactly what he was known for. We've got him on his genius technical abilities, first touch, all of that business. But talk about picking the man out when you need him to be picked out, whether it's a game that's flowing or whether it's that corner that he took to give Dzeko that second goal. That's me.
Andy?
Well, yeah, I said what I said about the pass earlier, unprompted, and I was breathless in the away end with those three going in so close together. I think I remember about that day probably the most about Silva seeing something special, probably his greatest game for City. And I think it goes back to the season before when, we knocked United off their perch in the semi-final and went on to win the Cup. And they went back to Wembley and Barcelona tore them to pieces. And then I knew when I saw, Silva playing, I thought, we've got a player here who he's like Xavi, he's like Iniesta, he can play that kind of football. And I didn't know then what we know now is that we've built a team effectively around Silva and a couple of other players in the spine. And I think that his longevity at the club says a lot about how much he's enjoyed playing under the managers. And it was Mancini who is widely applauded for doing all the groundwork to get him to come. A lot of calls went in. So, Brian Marwood did a lot of good things around that time, but Mancini, it would appear, was quite instrumental in getting him. So in terms of the goals and everything you've said about the Blackpool game, and I just remember he's a goal poacher. People forget how many are only from 5 or 6 yards. There's so many of them. And probably, he was up against somebody like Lampard and Hazard and being compared to their outside the box thrillers, and he had a couple of free kicks and the odd long distance, but Silva's the most unselfish player I've ever seen, and he would often pass it when he didn't have to pass it in favour of giving a goal. So, I can't really say an awful lot more than for me. I've got a lot of that in my heart for Zabaleta, always will have. But I think Silva, probably the greatest footballer we've had in this decade. And hopefully we'll be talking the same about Fernandinho and De Bruyne and a few others in years to come.
Yeah.
So I'm going to leave the final word to Harlan. He loves that because he gets it a lot. Go on, Harlan.
Yeah. To add to what Andy said, Ian, bang on. I read something last week. I believe it to be as true as it was told to me. Mancini, when he first came to the club after Hughes had departed, said that if we buy David Silva, he said to Caldoun, if you get me David Silva, the rest will come. I'll win you the league, I'll win you the FA Cup, and loads more will come. He's the one I want, he's the pivot in the team, and we'll build around David. So Andy's bang on with that. If he played for anybody else as well, just to mention this before I mention my favourite moment, if he played for anybody else in the league, he'd have won Player of the Season at least 4 or 5 times, I think. Because he plays for us, he's not got the accolades that he deserves, and the same goes for Sergio. But there's one moment they'll never take from Sergio, and that's the Aguero moment. They can take all the awards they want from him. I said that on my Twitter video the other day, but you'll never take his moment away in 2012. With regards to goals, there's 3. Will's bang on, epitomises David Silva, that the agility that boy has, the skill he has. That goal says everything away at Blackpool, and I'm sure the Blackpool fans applauded it as well, because in my lifetime watching City, I've clapped other teams' goals against us, and I think if you're a true football fan and you see something magical, you tend to maybe clap an opposition goal if it's something beautiful. I did it with Falcao when he chipped Caballero for Monaco a couple of years ago as well, that chip against us in the Champions League. But going back to David, yeah, that goal at Blackpool, Louise has banged on with us. Something that I don't think many City fans have thought about, but you know, Dzeko's goal was massive, and David was the man that put that on a plate, and Dzeko nicely put it into his belly and got us 2-2 in the game, and then Aguero got his moment. But my favourite moment of David Silva's is one that everybody might have forgotten, and it's against Wigan Athletic at the Etihad when Sergio Aguero scored a hat-trick. You might remember it, Ian. And David Silva does this outrageous bit of skill in midfield where he has the ball at his feet, he's closed down in a 3-man press, somehow finds his way out of it with a drag back, and then plays Sergio through for, I think it was Sergio's 3rd goal, where he slots it past El Abzi. And that was the most magical thing I've ever seen for a player, to get out of a 3-man press the way he did and play it through to Aguero to secure King Kun's hat-trick against Wigan Athletic was absolutely amazing. And that, for me, is my standout moment of David Silva's, and again, epitomises what the man's all about.